Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry I've been kind of out of the loop for the past few months. The whole thing with the coronavirus has gotten to me and I've been sick for a while and it's been a lot, but I'm back. I never thought that this would be my video coming back, so I do apologize to my apolitical viewers. There are going to be video game related videos coming soon. However, this is something that I've been wanting to talk about, not just like the premise of this video, but also kind of about this certain individual who I'm going to be responding to. I wanted to respond to their coronavirus video. However, the next day the video got removed from YouTube, thankfully, and I didn't feel any need to respond to it, even though I really wanted to. But at the same time, not only was the video removed, but I didn't have enough patience to sit through a 50-minute video of somebody foaming at the mouth talking about how the coronavirus is a government tool used to control the masses. I was not having it, and I felt that there was no need for my input since it wasn't really going to be listened to anyway. So I decided not to respond to that. But then I saw this video that they made about Black Lives Matter. Um, Now look, I I actually am a supporter of Black Lives Matter. I'm actually am half black, so it kind of does hit me on that kind of level. Um, so I am against racism and all that stuff, and I actually live a plant-based lifestyle. So all this resonates with me on a different type of level, and this is why I'm responding to it. It seems like this video that has come out is kind of a mirror of their COVID-19 video, but pretty much saying that Black Lives Matter is a government tool used to control the masses. And it kind of got to me to the point where I had to make a response to this video. And I know that because I'm black, people are going to say, well, you're just thinking with your skin color. No. For me in particular, I'm thinking of human rights, police brutality, and justice, you know. And I'm not even liberal. That's the funny part. I identify as a conservative, and even I disagree with the things that conservatives say. So, I know I've been ranting for 3 minutes. Let's get on with the video.
A free woman.
That's an interesting way to address a crowd. So, hey.
So this is a response. I'm going to do a reaction to Candace Owens' video, which she originally uploaded to Facebook and it went viral. It's now been uploaded to YouTube by this Dirty Daily channel. And it's had nearly 6 million views in about a week. And it's titled, I Do Not Support George Floyd and Here's Why. So obviously this is a really controversial video considering what is happening at the moment with the protests and the riots over George Floyd's death.
Oh, hey, that's cool. I'll be honest with you. Low key, I kind of like Candace Owens. I mean, as a black person, I'm half black, but I still consider myself black. Um, I identify as being conservative, but I am not really outward about my political views sometimes because there are certain things that conservatives said that I don't agree with. But it's like if you identify with one side of the aisle, it's like you automatically agree with everything they stand for, and that's not true. You know, there are certain things that even the most well-meaning conservatives say that I don't agree with, and there are times I'm afraid to speak out about it. This is one of them. But I believe Black lives truly do matter, and we do have a problem here in America when it comes to Black people and police brutality, and this is something that I'm gonna talk about today. Um, That being said, the video that she put out is controversial. It's not because she doesn't agree with Black Lives Matter. Not every black person is gonna jive with Black Lives Matter, and that's okay. If you don't support it, that's okay. I am not gonna get upset. It's your views. You have every right to express yourself however you want. However, the video was controversial was because it felt like she spent like I don't remember how long the actual video was, but she spent a whole lot of time going through this man's past and saying about all these different records when she's ignoring the bigger picture. Like I said, not every black person is gonna jive with Black Lives Matter. I'm okay with that. You know, you don't have to agree with everything that's going on in the Black Lives Matter movement. But if you're gonna dig up a man's past because people, are trying to remember him as the man that he is, then I have a problem with that. Especially since these are the same people who, if a white person does something bad and they get, a hefty jail sentence, you know, they, we often hear about their accomplishments. I mean, there was that one guy, I forgot his name, that did something to a girl that made national news, and all everybody said about him was how he's a great swimmer and blah 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 blah. But when it's a black man, it's almost kind of like we only hear about his arrest records and nothing else. I don't know. That just seems really off to me. But what do I know?
So much virtue signaling going on. There's so many people pretending. I'm not going to pretend. I don't care if you hate me. I just need you to hear me. From me, you're gonna get the truth. And the comments have to go off on these videos because YouTube has already said that they scan the comments and it can influence the visibility of the video.
I mean, I do agree that there are times that the comments do affect the YouTube algorithm. However, I don't understand if you're going to make an educational video essay, as you say you are, why? I mean, I don't know. It just makes me think that you're not actually interested in having a productive debate or a productive discussion on this topic. You know, it's like you believe that your view is the only truth and nobody else can debate with it. So I find that I find it a real, I don't know. I find it fishy that somebody can put out an educational essay and then turn off the comments and talk about how, well, this video is not going to be heard. But here's the thing. Here's how the YouTube algorithm works. Usually, the more comments a video gets, the more YouTube is going to recommend that video. I mean, that's what I've been told about the algorithm, but I could be wrong. But if your video doesn't have a lot of comments or it's shut off, it's kind of going to be hard for people to find unless they're subscribed to you or they hit that notification bell. But I want to talk about something that it's been like a trend in Freely's videos. She always puts this thing like, "Oh, I don't have a Patreon or I'm not being donated to. Trust me." Okay, first of all, just because you don't have Patreon money doesn't mean you're to be trusted. There are people who do have a Patreon and they do make a living off of YouTube, but they can be trusted. You know, not everybody who has these platforms are not to be trusted. And as for speaking the truth, you know, if your COVID-19 video has anything to do with that, I don't think that you're actually interested in spreading the truth. I mean, maybe in your mind it's the truth, but when your COVID-19 video went up, you immediately shut off comments after people disagreed with you on it, you know? And then the people that disagreed with you, you called them like, "Oh, they're just following the herd." No, we're not following the herd. We're actually following common sense. And common sense tells us that COVID-19 is a big deal. And advocating for herd immunity is not a good thing in a pandemic. just common sense.
Look, veganism is clearly about non human animals. Those trying to make it about human animals as well are obviously twisting the situation. We know that as vegans, but a lot of you have been infiltrated basically by this media propaganda and as Black Lives Matter to think it's also about this political situation, because that's what it is. This has been blown up into a political situation because in November there's an election coming up, and every 4 years the race card is used.
Yes, I do agree that veganism is for the animals, and that's kind of a large part of why I don't call myself vegan because I'm not a political vegan. I mean, I do believe that animals have the right to live, but my whole life is not overtaken by, the politics of veganism. I'm a very apolitical type of person, so I prefer not to get into the politics of veganism. But I do recognize that for me to call myself vegan, I have to get into the politics of veganism. But politics are just not my thing. Even though I say I'm conservative, I say I'm conservative because I agree with some of the things that conservatives say, you know. However, my channel and my platform is not about politics. My platform is about gaming, you know, and that's not going to change. My platform is about, Sonic games and Star Wars and all that stuff. I have no interest in diving into the politics of veganism. You know, I will say that I eat a plant-based lifestyle and that's it. So, if you're expecting me to get into the politics of veganism, nah, you come to the wrong person. Now, do I agree that veganism is about the animals? Yes, I do, because why not? It's about the animals. However, you can't really get upset when people do include humans into that because humans are animals. If you say veganism is about the animals and humans are animals, then people are going to make that connection and say, well, humans are animals. I mean, and humans are being treated bad on so many different levels. As a vegan, I must speak about this. Now, as a black person, I don't agree that everybody needs to talk about Black Lives Matter. I've had friends when the protests went out, they were silenced very quickly when they condemned rioting. And I was actually silenced because I condemned the rioting and all that stuff. I disagree with it. And there's been businesses in my hometown that have been broken into due to the riots. So I totally am against rioting. However, I do understand that black people have been oppressed for many years in slavery to the point where it's like when you're holding it in and you don't want to say something, but you just finally snap. And that's exactly what happened. Am I condoning what happened? Like with looting? No, I'm actually against it, but I understand why they did it. That's what I'm saying. Um, Another thing is that like it's good on vegan organizations to speak out on this, especially since no disrespect, but veganism is not very friendly to people of color. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I would never call myself vegan. I don't call myself vegan because I know that I am not welcome in vegan spaces. Not just because of like my cultural background, but because veganism has become very white. And I'm not trying to virtual signal or any buzzwords you guys want to throw at me, but I'm just speaking clearly from my observation that veganism is a very white community. When I went to the science march, most of the people that supported it were very white. When I went to Veg Fest, the people that were there were very white. They looked more like Freelee, and I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me, you know? And I'm not trying to say that that's a bad thing because, defending the animals is a good thing. But there are times that I feel that I will never be welcomed in most vegan spaces. And it has to do with my cultural background. Now, I'm also Japanese, I'm from Japan, and we do there is a thing that goes on in Japan where a small town goes out and they do dolphin drives to feed their small town. And if you freeze dolphin meat, it can last for like a year. So it's really helpful to the people. But white vegans don't really understand that. They don't understand that the people of Taiji, it's a small town and they've been doing this for a long time to feed their people and also to sell to the restaurants too. But I guess my issue, especially as a Japanese person, is that white vegans really do not understand the cultural significance of the dolphin drives, and not just the dolphin drives, but indigenous hunting too by, you know, tribes, Inupiat people. And the thing that I've learned about these kind of people is that they don't care. It's great that they care about the animals, but just because a vegan cares about the animals doesn't make them a good person. They can be shitty humans, but they love animals. You know, I remember there was a post years ago where the founder of Sea Shepherd, Paul Watson, was foaming at the mouth at a 15-year-old Inupiat kid for um, killing a bowhead whale for his whole village. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, this kind of indigenous hunting has been happening for thousands of years, and these people rely on the sea for their meals because if you go up to northern Canada, there's a food shortage, and there's another word for it, but there's been times where people would buy stuff, but the prices would be 10 times the price that we would see. Like, for example, a gallon of milk at Publix costs $1.19, but a gallon of milk up north, especially in Nunavut, would cost like $5. I mean, they're inflating those prices because they know that Inupian people, are going to need those things. However, they mostly rely on the sea for free meals because it's going to last them longer, not this grocery store stuff. But yeah, that's the thing that really gets me about white veganism is that the white people behind this don't really understand, what people of color go through, and they're trying to take resources away from people of color because save the animals. Um, that and you'll notice that you don't see a lot of vegans of color, speaking up about this. And if they are, they're quickly silenced or they're being told, well, you're not vegan because veganism is about non human animals and you're the oppressor and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, a lot of people of color don't feel comfortable in vegan spaces. And this video is kind of the reason why I feel that way.
And this is what this Black Lives Matter movement is trying to put out to the public, that vegans who don't speak about the George Floyd death and the surrounding issues, they're racist.
Now, here is something that I actually agree with. If you don't speak about Black Lives Matter, it doesn't make you a racist. There are millions of reasons why people don't speak out about Black Lives Matter, and it's not because they are quote unquote siding with the oppressor. There is a little thing that people need to understand about compassion burnout, and compassion burnout is when you're involved in so many cases and your compassion just kind of burns out and it brings you this into this fatigue. People that are in animal rights, y'all would understand that compassion burnout is a thing. It's the same thing with social justice. You know, for me as a black person, I see this all the time on my feed, and it just makes me sad in the direction that America is going, to the point where I don't really say nothing about it because it's become so normalized. That's why I don't really talk about it, because it's become so normal. And it's a routine. Someone gets killed, Black Lives Matter, and then we move on. And it's become a routine. And a lot of times it's just compassion burnout. A lot of people get burned out. They're tired, they're scared. They feel they have to say something, but they're just so overwhelmed. And I want to be the first person to say you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. If you don't want to talk about Black Lives Matter, that's on you. You don't have to talk about it. You know, there are many things you can do to support Black people, besides tweeting about it on Twitter or Instagram. You know, One thing that you can do is to donate to Black owned businesses that have been affected by the riots, which I've been doing and countless other people have been doing, and also link to, Black owned resources, you know, or share videos from Black creators. You can do that, or, you know, you can donate to Black Lives Matter. There are things that you can do to support Black people that does nothing to do with posting a black square or having to use the hashtag Black Lives Matter. That is not the only form of activism. Some people use silent activism because a lot of times they don't know how to be vocal about it. And that's okay. That is okay.
Fact is, this Black Lives Matter movement, it seems to only care about black lives when there is a white perpetrator. That's just how it appears to me.
Now, this is the part of the video where she goes in about black on black crime. Pretty much every retractor does this. They always have to bring up black on black crime. Now, before anybody says anything, I'm not denying that black on black crime exists. I am not denying that. I will be the first one to say that, even inside our own communities, we are killing each other. Like, I will be the first one to say that. However, this is it's not that this is not what the movement is about. The movement is about the movement is about black people, being killed for no reason. And it's not just about police brutality. There's been black people that have been killed while they were sleeping, or they were doing some arbitrary task where a normal white person would not be killed for. That's how Black Lives Matter started. You know, I remember some, not in my hometown, but somewhere there was a black kid who had a hoodie and Skittles, and the person shot him and said, "Oh, I was just doing a stand your ground," but the kid wasn't doing anything but holding a bag of Skittles, and the guy got shot. This is what Black Lives Matter is about. You know, it's exposing to the light that, hey, there's something wrong here. Black people are being shot at for doing the most basic and menial of tasks. It's not just about police brutality. And yes, black on black crime does matter too. Victims of black on black crime matter. However, I find it weird that you and everybody else only cares about black on black crime when it's in the context of Black Lives Matter. I mean, you guys really aren't fooling anybody.
It's interesting how social distancing doesn't matter when there is a political agenda to push. Yeah, so much for coronavirus. It's been cured by the woke. The woke have cured coronavirus.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself with that caption I put up there, but I just want to point out something about this particular topic. I think it's kind of funny how she says that social distancing doesn't matter when it's a quote unquote political agenda or people are protesting for human rights when in your coronavirus video, um, you said that people should do the herd mentality and all that stuff, and people were protesting the social distancing laws, and you supported it. So it's okay for people to cancel social distancing because they feel like they're under house arrest because of the COVID-19, and you were actively encouraging people to protest this. But yet, when people are protesting Black Lives Matter, now you want to bring in the coronavirus. I see you.
All vegans are going to be supportive of other vegans and their efforts. Obviously, when it comes to animal rights, they're not going to be like, "I'm unfollowing you. You're a terrible person because you don't, support the Black Lives Matter organization." Obviously, that is not, someone who is focusing on non-human animals that are being horribly mistreated, oppressed, and they're obviously the ones that are being treated the worst out of all animals, and they need our attention.
I just want to put this out there. This is another reason why I don't call myself vegan, because people like this make me feel bad that I don't support other vegans because they're all around shitty people, but because they support the animals, then I must support them. I mean, weren't you like complaining that people were upset that you weren't talking about Black Lives Matter because they believed that Black Lives Matter was a vegan issue, but yet you're complaining about vegans who don't, that care about other issues besides the animals, and they don't support vegans that are just horrible people? Like, just because somebody is an animal defender doesn't mean I have to support them, as somebody who lives a plant-based lifestyle. And another thing is that I'm going to say this right now, just because you call yourself a political vegan doesn't mean you're better than any plant-based eater that doesn't talk about this subject. I mean, I hate this dichotomy, like vegan versus plant-based. Like, we eat a lifestyle that not only saves animals, from factory farming, but we're also saving the environment. I understand that people need to be unified on this, but you have to understand that just because somebody's vegan doesn't make them a good person. And as a vegan, you have every right to unfollow that person, or think that they are a bad person if they are really a bad person. If a vegan's not talking about Black Lives Matter, you have every right to unfollow that person. Or if they're spreading propaganda about COVID-19, you have every right to unfollow that person. Because just because they care about the animals doesn't mean they are a good person. It doesn't mean they are to be trusted. There are horrible vegans out there in the world, but because I live a similar lifestyle to them, I have to support them in order to have my vegan card? No, thank you.
She goes on to talk about how he has several drug offenses, like he's been in jail several times, and also that he held a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach and he robbed her. So armed robbery, obviously that's disgusting.
The part about holding a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach and robbing her, that's bad. And no one's denying that. The one thing I do want to point out is that I find it kind of funny that when people, in the Black Lives Matter community are lifting up a black man for who he was and how the family remembers him, there are people that are going to be coming out and saying that, oh, he had this record, he had that record. You know, countless of other black men who have been supported through the Black Lives Matter, or I've known about them through Black Lives Matter because of the brutality against them. There's always going to be somebody who's going to be going on arrestrecords.com or whatever and looking up their records. But however, if it's a white person that has done something wrong, or a white person that's been accused of doing something wrong, I mean, you don't. I don't see people doing the exact thing for white people. All I see them do is say how great of a swimmer they are, or how great of a judge they are, or oh, this person was a good family man and they would help me take my groceries to one side of the street to another. You know, we don't see that energy when it's a black person, but if it's a white person, then everybody talks about how great they were.
Statement that America is not racist, and it's true. A country in itself cannot be racist. Of course, there's going to be racist people in the country. Yes, it's always going to exist.
Whether or not America is a racist country, that's kind of a gray area in my general opinion, but I won't deny the fact that America has had a sketchy past. America has had a racist past, and it's like they're trying to run away from it, you know? Like, for example, because of all that's going on, people are actually like petitioning. They're petitioning for like cops to be erased from shows and all that stuff. And also, there's this Disney movie that Disney made a long time ago called Song of the South. I've never saw it, but a lot of people have. And I just learned I was today years old when I found out that Splash Mountain was based off of Song of the South. And now people are trying to petition Disneyland to change the ride. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't think that they should, but it's kind of like corporations are trying to run away from this past. You know, America is trying to run away from the past, and they can't do that. They have to acknowledge it dead on. You know, when the atrocities happened in Germany, they made it a point that people remember what happened in Germany. You know, they teach this kind of things in schools, but America keeps running away from it for some reason. You know, if America truly has changed, then they must, you know, face the atrocities that happened years ago head on.
Not trying to push any political agenda or anything. I'm about the truth. And I'm very good at finding the truth. A lot of you know that. I look at the evidence. I go behind the curtain. I see who's controlling the puppets. I don't just accept the mainstream narrative as gospel. Okay, that's just not like, oh yeah, okay, like other people believe that. That's what the mainstream media is telling me. It must be true.
Honestly, this reads as, ooh, look at me. I think differently than the rest of the herd. I must be the truth seeker. Listen, um, I understand that you believe that you're a truth seeker, and I do appreciate that you want to find the truth. However, what your coronavirus video has taught me is that you're not really actually interested in learning about the truth, whereas I feel like you're trying to go against the popular opinion just because you think it's not that you think it's trendy, it's because I feel that you're trying to be as controversial as you can. And that's my problem with most of these conservative channels. You know, I identify myself as being conservative. However, the one thing about conservative channels is that they try so hard to not think like everybody else to where it's a complete circus. You know, it's okay to have a popular opinion, and it's okay to not have a popular opinion. Just because you agree that Black Lives Matter doesn't mean that you're following the herd. Just because you don't agree with the intent and organization of Black Lives Matter doesn't make you a racist. The only thing that will make you a racist is that if you believe that Black lives don't matter, then we're getting into some muddy waters. However, just because you agree with a popular opinion doesn't mean you're part of the herd mentality. And this is a thing that Freely does in a lot of her videos, especially with her COVID-19 videos. It's like the people that are upset about COVID-19 and scared, she kind of says that they're following a herd mentality. That's not true. being concerned about yourself and being concerned about the health and well-being of other people is not following a herd mentality. It's common sense. All right, we are done with this video. I know I skipped over a lot of parts, but the truth is that most of the video was regurgitating the same stuff that I don't care to really address again, and most of it was just conspiracy theories and all that stuff, and I have really no energy to really go into conspiracy theories. It's 3:30 in the morning and I need to go to sleep, and like I said, I have no patience for conspiracy theories. I know I'm repeating myself. But basically, the rest of the video was just saying that, oh, we're not victims, blah, 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 blah. And I do agree about the victim mentality, but at the same time, there's a history behind that. And there's a history that people like Freelee doesn't understand. Especially if you're not from America, you wouldn't understand. I had to learn about this kind of stuff, and it's a really bad history. But all in all, basically, what we have learned from this video is that she believes that Black Lives Matter is a government conspiracy created to control the masses. And if everybody thinks one way, then you have to disagree with them and think the other way because that makes you a critical thinker, right? Wrong. You know, if a lot of people think one way, it's okay for you to think that exact same way if you do your research. You know, it's okay for you to have a popular opinion. You know, it's okay for you to want to be part of Black Lives Matter because Black Lives Matter is a human rights issue. This is a human rights issue, and people have every right to want to talk about it, especially vegans. I applaud the vegans who actually do care about people of color because, like I said, the biggest reason why I don't call myself vegan is because I know that, as a person of color, there are times that I don't feel welcome in these spaces. You know, the space is not carved out for me. And also the fact that most vegans don't care about food shortages that are happening with indigenous tribes, but yet they're trying to take away their hunting practices away because free the animals. You know, like, yeah, I don't agree with it, and I I just don't agree that if if you agree with Black Lives Matter, then you're following the herd. Like, I don't agree with this. This is a conspiracy theory, like, I don't know. But then again, it's Freelee. She does conspiracy theories. I mean, look at her COVID-19 video. But yeah, that's all I want to say about this video. I'll be putting out normal videos soon. I've been just out of the loop, but I had to talk about this one, and I know I might get hate on my channel and I'll lose subscribers, but this is something that I really wanted to talk about because it's been kind of bothering me for a while. Not a while, but I saw this video and it's been bothering me and I had to talk about it. Now, the dislike to like ratio is like half and half. It's got 1,400 likes and 1,400 dislikes. So it's kind of scary to think that 14,000 people think that Black Lives Matter is a conspiracy theory. Okay. But I am happy to know that there are 14,000 people who care about people and care about human rights and will not stand for this kind of thing. So, yeah, there is hope in the world. And like I said, I'm not a social justice warrior. I'm not an extreme liberal. I'm actually lean to the right, but I'm just a concerned person who actually cares about people. So that is why I'm posting my thoughts. And you have every right to comment on this. You can call me whatever name in the book. I stand by my opinion no matter what. So, yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.